type of asset, what kind of asset property you want to go after, right? Identifying what type of property you want as an investor, what type of terms or what type of acquisition are you going to use to get it? Is it going to be hard money? Is it going to be cash? Is it going to be a conventional loan? Owner carry, whatever it is. And then how are you going to go about finding who owns these properties? And then from there, how are you going to go about dialoguing? And then from there, how are you going to go about closing them? And I think that's been why a lot of people, especially not only in our organization, but people around town that are investors, are not finding a lot of flips. They're not finding a lot of deals because there's no real deals to be had unless it's distressed, totally distressed, or, you know, a pretty beat down house, or somebody's died. It's been like a divorce type of situation and they're upside down. So I think as investors, if we look at what we want first and then work backwards, for Mike wants another duplex, right? Could be on market, could be off market. And where it is the difference between $500 to $750 more in gross rent. And I think that was a funny conversation in all of this that I wanted to share with you guys, is that I hit up Mike the other, maybe like 10 days ago. And I said, hey, there's a duplex that's on the market right now. That's a nice duplex, but it's been on the market. They've done like one price reduction, maybe. It's overpriced. We know it's overpriced. And he hit me back up and he's like, hey, the rents are just not there, right, to hit the target that, you know, I'm looking for. And I was like, yeah, you're totally right. Someone is either going to fix that problem, but it's in your little box that you want, the location, right? And I sent it to him and we had a funny conversation as always. And then I woke up the next morning and I get an email alert because I pushed save on Zillow and it said pending. And I was like, well, I guess that one wasn't made to be. Somebody thought it was good value, but how do you work backwards and figure that out? And we have been trying to identify where those distressed properties are against people like Property Max and other big wholesalers who have people driving every single city and building databases on Deal Machine, from Portland all the way to Roseburg, right? Or maybe even to Ashland. That list of distressed homes, it exists. It is what it is. But I think I wanted to talk about tonight is there's other places to find property, not just from driving for dollars. There's other places to look for property, like on the market, long days on market. Why is it on the market? Figure that out, fix that plan or fix that problem. Because I just want to tell everybody this, every single duplex that was on the market, now don't quote me on this, not every single duplex, but nearly every single duplex that was on the market in January, February, and March of this year has been sold. When I looked at expireds for duplexes, there was like less than 5. Every single one has been purchased. That tells you something. No matter what the price is, there's somebody buying them, either to occupy them or to buy them and hold them as an investment. The biggest problem we had was COVID and no one was getting evicted.
Yeah.
And I think the change now is that everyone sees that light at the end of the tunnel and that doorway getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it gets closer and closer and closer. And I think now we're starting to see people that are ready and willing to take a little risk and take less rents for a little bit to correct that problem. And that's been 2 or 3 of my clients right now. They're buying properties that aren't really operating in great medians or ranges, and they're going in and rehabbing, and they know what they can get for rent, and the rental demand is still remaining high, and they're taking those risks now on 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, and 10-unit properties. I mean, there's another investor down in Creswell. I think he's retrofitting the entire hotel that was down there into apartments. So no matter what people think about doomsday or the economy or things are going to shift, biggest point of this conversation is that I had a cash buyer who has millions of dollars tell me, I'm going to wait till the market goes down. And I said, all right, well, then every Tim, Mary, Tim, Susan, Louie investor who has liquid capital is also going to be at the soccer game when you want to play. And competition is going to go up for investment properties. So making excuses about when the market's going to go down and how you're going to find all these deals is great if you're a hedge fund and you have unlimited capital. But I think really people and opportunity is happening now. It's just you need to figure out where that is and how you're going to go address it and execute it. So using tools like Deal Machine or driving around and writing down the addresses and skip tracing and figuring out who you want to contact each week is something that every investor needs to do. And passive lead generation or PPC, last 3 or 4 years of heyday, set up a carrot site, everything's great, I'm going to get a bunch of leads, has dwindled. Not in all markets, but most markets. Seeing more Facebook ads, you're seeing things that are not performing as well. And I think ultimately, guys, is that we need foreclosures. We need some sort of big financial shift before we're going to start to see opportunity in the distress world. And I think ultimately it's just need to be concentrating on what the biggest point of this conversation is figuring out your game plan on what type of assets you want to own and how you want to operate that plan. That's different for everybody, because Mike referred me to somebody this last week and his game plan was to possibly own a fourplex. And by the time he was done with my conversation, he was like, wow, that was a stupid opportunity to go look at. I don't even have enough money, right? I have to figure out how I'm going to acquire that property. I need to go back to the drawing board and kind of figure out what I need to do. So from a marketing standpoint, let's talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in Eugene and Springfield or Lane County, Roseburg to, let's say, Corvallis. Duplexes, single family homes are highest price they've ever been, duplexes as well. But rents are the highest they've ever been. Maybe ever will be for a little while. And the more property managers I talk to and the more affordable housing I do sell, like manufactured homes, I realize really quickly, if you're patient, it will sell. There's not enough houses, there's not enough rentals for the amount of people that are out there. And so I think if you can create an action plan to figure out where in the city you want to purchase your next property and not allow that property to come to you, I think that's where it sounds easier than it said done, because we've all tried. But setting up bandit signs, running tons of Google PPC, and allowing yourself to magnetize distressed buyers or sellers.
What is Google PPC?
Pay-per-click, keyword searching.
Okay.
Buy your homes fast, Eugene, cash for my house, whatever it is.
It's advertising on Google.
Which can get very expensive.
Yes, it can take your shorts.
If you're not monitoring it, somebody else will.
Somebody's driving it and it's the competition.
And so she brings up a good point. Really what I'm trying to say is what was working and what has made people a lot of money is now being saturated by a lot of bigger companies that are realizing it was working for a lot of us little guys. And now they're stepping into the game. They're investing a lot more money into it. And you're seeing more acquisitions, right? And I think what I wanted to say is that I had a couple, really nice couple that flipped some homes down south. And as they try to transition up to the Eugene Springfield market, we get beat on every offer, like 20, 30, 40,000 bucks. And they're like, well, it just doesn't pencil. And I said, it doesn't pencil for your market. It pencils for somebody in this market because the last 4 or 5 deals we didn't get, somebody else bought and just flipped and resold. And so I think you have to understand where your local market is. You need to understand what your strategy is, and you need to understand how you're going to get there. And the rejuvenation of all of this is that we talked a couple of weeks about building a plan for next year. And this is part 2. How much money am I going to spend on what marketing activities? But ultimately, who am I trying to reach? What is the message I need to talk to them about? And ultimately, how are we going to go get them? How are we going to go find them? And so, Mike, to your question today, which I'll just put you as an example because it was a great question. Hey, I want to go drive around and find some properties that are in the areas I want to look for, right? It's logically makes sense. I gave you a book that said you to do that, right? The problem is that getting a hold of people these days has changed. It's not the same way it was 5 or 10 years ago. And ultimately, how much marketing you're going to put into what properties you do want is ultimately going to create a hot list. Now, a hot list is this. These are the properties that if I had the money on any single day of the year, I would buy if they called me tomorrow. I want them. Your hot list should literally be at your office, sitting on your whiteboard or printed and pasted right next to you on the wall and saying, how many times have I communicated with those people? How many times have I sent them direct mail? How many times have I RVM'd them? How many times have I text message marketing them? How many times have I door knocked them? Who's their agent if they're not going to sell off market? Who is their real estate agent? So when they tell me they have a real estate agent and I'm not interested in selling, you say, cool, when you are going to sell, who's your agent? So I can follow them in 2 to 3, 4 years. And when you are, I'm still at the top of the list. Because if I had somebody that called me and said, I want this property, let me know when you're ready, you bet your ass they're going to be in my CRM, tag, triple starred, reach out to Tom when I'm ready to sell. And so I want everybody to create a hot list. Those are the properties, just like we said, in the area that you want. These are the properties you do want. You've driven past them. You do want them. And treat it like just if you were, it was a single family home that you wanted to live in or move up to or downsize into. You know, I used to live in San Jose, Silicon Valley area and Santa Cruz. And I can still tell you guys, I know exactly what my hot list is for the top 5 residential houses that I want to live in. I know exactly where they are. They have that charm factor, the exact location I want, amazing landscape, right? Or acreage or view. You fall in love with a house, and I want you to treat your investment business like this. When you drive by that house, you're like, that's the quadplex that I want. You need to figure out who owns it, how long they've owned it, how you're going to get a hold of them, and what type of dialogue or letter would be affected to them. Because I won a deal this last week that's going to be closing on the 5th that another one of my clients passed up. They were like, no, I don't want it. I'm going to terminate. And I said, it's a good deal, man. I'd buy it. He thought I was bullshitting me, or I was bullshitting him. No joke, guys. This is honest to God truth. I said, I would buy this. If you're not going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. And he terminated the contract. And I waited about 40 days. And I'm buying it now. And I just want you to know, if you have a real estate agent that's going to tell you, or an investor friend, mentor that says, hey, I would buy this if I was you, and he's serious, it's probably a good investment. And what I'm getting at is that it was on my hot list, in the zone I wanted, in the area I wanted, 2 minutes from my post office where I get my mail every day. I'm already going to the post office unless I die. I'm going to drive right by my rental property every day. I'm going to have my hands on it, my pulse on it. I'm going to know what's going on. That hot list is exactly what you need to create. It can be a mix of properties, 4 units, 8 units, 10 units, some single family homes, maybe that just shitty distressed property in a really great neighborhood that you drive by every day. But when you have conviction, you have good messaging, good marketing, good negotiation, good strategy, good data, good execution of that, good follow-up, good reach, good frequency towards that hot list. I'll tell you guys, I learned this lesson. What I'm teaching tonight is not anything that I made up. This came directly from Ed's mentor. And he said, when you find a property in a romantic location that is exactly fits your bill of what you want to own and put into your portfolio, you need to figure out how to be not aggressive, not overbearing, but direct. I want to buy your property. And when you're ready, let me know. I want to be that first person in line. That's the plan that you should have. And I think that's what Mike was telling me today when he called me. I finished the last bite of my turkey sandwich and he said, hey, you're probably eating some food. Like, I just want to ask you a question. I said, let's talk about Deal Machine, but let's talk about this list. I'm going to talk about this tonight. It's the hot list to creating the acquisitions that you want that match your portfolio growth, your cash flow. And I want you guys to know one thing. If it's on your hot list and you know it can perform, but it's not performing when you buy it, don't be a stupid investor and say, well, it doesn't pencil and I'm going to pass. Because if it's on your hot list, it was in your hot list for a reason. And I have a lot of clients who've passed up that now I buy and I own. Simple as it is. That's the key. Is you want to be able to look at an investment and say, I can fix this problem. And our buddy up in Corvallis Market, Mike knows him. He's fixing 2 problems now at once, hopefully maybe 3. Buy with high risk, high reward, or buy with low risk, low reward. Really has to match what you're looking for. But hot list this, that same friend is buying the 2 worst duplexes on a road, 1 block, that there's 2 single family flips, almost 100% complete, a brand new 5 unit across the street, a brand new turnkey remodeled duplex caddy corner, an updated and remodeled 4-bedroom rental property on the corner, and a 6 unit right next to him that they just put new siding and a roof on. The entire street has been remodeled or flipped. And he's buying the 2 worst properties on that house. And his whole goal is to remodel, reposition, manage correctly, get his net operating income and his financials all savvy, do a cash out or do a 1031. And when we went to go talk to him about this, I said, this is a hot zone, man. Look at the street. And he goes, I already knew. That's why I called you. I see the writing on the wall. It's in the zone I want to invest. And these are 2 pieces of coal that need to be turned into gold nuggets. And when they are, they're going to be valued at maybe 100, 150, maybe even 200 over the next 5 years. But he's not in a rush, right? It's not the fix and flip mentality, guys. It's the, I'm going to do the work, put in the time, and when the time is right, reposition or leverage and move out. And I think that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, is building that hot list, understanding those telltale signs of marketing, and understanding how to identify those places you want to invest. Because if you just look at the university area of Eugene right now, I moved here in 2015 or 16. It's been 5 years, I think. When I first moved here, it was like a cold, rainy, gray day. I'll never miss it. for the world. I can remember everything about it, the whole trip up here. There wasn't 4 or 5 brand new 12-story, 15-story, 20-story housing complexes. There wasn't the new track and field. There wasn't every single small building being turned into a commercial readjustment or redevelopment, right? That tower over behind the 5th Street Market, it might be like senior condos. I forget where it is, over by where you go run, Mike.
Yeah, Poa Terrace.
Yep. Remember that was getting it felt like every year they were doing one level
Yeah,
all the way up. It's brand new. It looks brand new now.
whole
Right?
facelift.
Whole facelift. Point I'm getting at, guys, is that this city in just 5 years has done significant strides toward making things better. Urban development, things are moving. There's a lot more money here. There's a lot more traffic here. And with all of that is going to come a strong rental market and an area where you want to create your little hot list and what type of properties you want to get, how you're going to find them, how you're going to create that. And should be no more, guys, should be no more than 50 properties max. Because even if you acquired 10% of those, that'd be 5 properties over 10 years of reasonable time. And then anything that comes as an extra, right? Or if your marketing's generating leads and you're building, fix and flip property or an assignment contract, or something comes along that somebody refers you, right? Those are all good things that you can still work on. The ultimate goal was that you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And I'm taking this whole program, and there's only 3 of us on here and we all know each other. I'm taking this from a standpoint of, this is what a real estate developer does. This isn't an investor. This is a developer mentality. Where do I want to own things? How do I turn them into monopoly? And ultimately, how do I go out and get them? Because that is the key to being really effective with your marketing. Because if you just spray and pray across this city, you'll just waste thousands of dollars. That's the key. And I learned it the hard way. I dropped like maybe 5 to 10 grand in direct mail over like a 2-year period to some weird lists of things that were moving in different areas. That was like 1 or 2 deals, maybe off of 10 grand, probably broke even. So build a hot list, laser focus, build your marketing plan around that. And then also still operate your bread and butter, right? If it's fix and flip, right? Keep your eyes on the wholesaler lists. Keep your eyes on what you're doing to generate those leads. If you need to hire a cold caller or somebody to prospect, you're going to be competing with other 3 or 5 companies that are doing the exact same thing. And there's a reason. I just wanted to say this, guys. When you look at a big wholesaler, and I get their emails, 2 or 3 of big guys, none of those properties are really ever in the same spot. It's like one in Salem, Oregon City, Tualatin, right? Eugene the next day. And you're like, wait, is this guy servicing the entire state? Yes. Because those deals aren't popping up everywhere consistently. And I think that's what I learned early on, is that we don't live in this bustling Atlanta, Georgia, or St. Louis, Missouri, right? Huge city with 2, 3, 4 million people where you can really see the gentrification happening, right? The little pockets of like the Whitaker are reformatting and reflipping over. And I think that's what I realized early on, is that create a hot list, laser target. And me and Ed are going to go back in and kind of work through that data and organize it in different spots. I think that's the best way to put it. Any questions, Mr. Michael?
No, that's you really drilled down on what all my thoughts came from is before. I'm saying 10, 15 years ago, before I was even thinking real estate, I just remember either going to visit people or whatever, but just driving through a neighborhood, mostly like in North Eugene, North Gillum, where I remember seeing duplexes that blended in with the rest of the houses. And I thought to myself, man, I'd live in a one-sided duplex. I mean, that's my kind of house, you know? And so that's, you know, jumping 15 years forward. And like right now, I'm thinking like, well, you know, that's what I'd like to find is specifically these nice duplexes in a nice neighborhood. And somehow I feel like a lucky guy, you know. I mean, I can not, I don't mind cold calling. I can knock on a bunch of doors, but I just have this feeling there's some owner living on one side that's just waiting for me to knock on that door, say, you know, I'm trying to help my daughter buy a duplex right here in this neighborhood, and this just looks like the one I'd like to see my daughter in.
Yep. It's worked before.
That's good, Mike. That's good. Yeah.
Oh. I'm the same way with South Eugene, right? I mean, Grace, you already live over there, but you know, like there's those parts, like I love Onyx and Emerald Street where you see the whole like South Hills, that whole view of the valley. There's places, you know, you've kind of fall in love with. You're like, man, if I could find a fixer here or like a property that needs updated, you know, I people buy really the location. You see or hear the location, right? But it's really charm factor, attraction to the home. Then what's the profit center and the location and putting all those variables together is that where I grew up in Canton, Ohio, there's this place called Avondale, and Avondale is like old money, right? Then there's Brookside Country Club, which is really old money. And then there's Jackson Township and a few other places around where I grew up and went to high school. And the Football Hall of Fame sits right next to Avondale. And I used to tell myself, like, I used to work by the Football Hall of Fame. I'd go down there in college, I had an internship, and I would drive through Avondale all the time. Or I would be driving down and I would purposely drive through Avondale. And I'd always be like, man, these houses are just so cool. Right? This area, right? There's some duplexes back there, by the way, Mike, that were just super nice. And, you know, what's funny is even when we went into the downturn in 08, those are the people that could weather the storm because they already had money, right? And those two places are still so highly desirable. Like if a house goes up for sale there, I have them on one of my searches. It's like 3 or 4 days pending. And it's not that nice of an area if you think about what's surrounding it. But people are attracted to location, the park, the convenience to the highway, convenience to shopping. And I think those are the best type of investments. Like if I was going to buy duplex, I'd buy it by Avondale or Brookside Country Club. They're just good areas. But point I'm getting at is that you never forget those as an investor. You knew that, right? Those were blending in for you 15 years ago, but now when you drive by there, you're like, that's my target property. And Mike, let's pull a list of every duplex that has a 3-bedroom configuration. It's a 6-2 or a 6-3 configuration. Those are going to be more expensive, but yield more rent, right? The one you have now, you could build a damn hotel in the backyard. It has a big. But
I am building.
Yeah. There's one other thing I was going to say. And keep your eyes on affordable housing. And all this hot list, people kind of talk shit about manufactured homes, right? Or just in general, cheaper homes, right? Your 1-bedroom, 1-baths. They're like kind of like the ugly stepchild of the real estate business. You see a 1-1 come up, you kind of cringe as a real estate agent. You're like, man, that can't be more than 175 or it's not going to appraise. And I think that affordable housing is there's always a buyer for everything. So how do you get that price to match who can afford it? If that's kind of the conclusion of what I want to talk about today, nothing too crazy. I have on my notes for this quarter, Q4, is build my hot list. And I'm also going to write this on my big whiteboard right next to me. Hot list. And I'm also going to write Mike's hot list to help him in building that list. Any other questions, Mike?
No, I think you got everything covered. I'm already thinking about tomorrow morning's workout.
That's what you got to do.
How many properties do you have on your hot list, Dan?
I have 2 lists, one of them which has like 34 properties.
Okay.
And then that, which is that's 3 and 4 units and above. And then I have about only like 8 or 9 on a single family list. That's kind of local to me over here in Thurston. I've kind of mailed them a few times, and then I'm like, all right, like I just drove by literally last night. It was 2 nights ago. We went to go get ice cream with my parents, and they're in town. And I drove by and I was like, I want that one. I want that one. These 2 are on my like radar. These 2 right here. And so I keep that single family list a lot smaller. Yeah. So about 50 properties.
And are these properties that you want to own, or you have clients that want them?
Combination of both, because there'd be no way of me acquiring them unless I hit the lottery for all of them. So
Sure.
The list that's 3 and 4 units and above is kind of like a section of Springfield and Eugene that I've been looking for a while. So there's probably 2 or 3 in there. And also, I'm not gonna lie, Cottage Grove and Cresswell are kind of 2 hidden pockets that I like to look in. But the problem with there is that for some reason, people aren't buying it. I think it's because the rents just yield to be a little bit $200-300 less a month, which scares lenders. I think that's the biggest problem. But yeah, there's for no reason should a 6 unit be sitting on the market at $750,000 in Cresswell for 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yep. And there's another one in Springfield, a 4 unit or a 6 unit, I can't remember, that's at $695 right now. Yes, they need some work. But guys, if this was Portland or San Jose or anywhere in California that had a remote investor market, they would be gone in like a week, 10 days max. I'm starting to see those bigger properties.
I think it's the cap rate people are looking at, the investors, because I think that I could be wrong, but the one in Springfield, I think it had a cap rate of 3 point something, and it was run down, so it should have a much higher cap rate. And it's not like it was a luxury apartment complex.
Yep. You're right. It's the 3.75 cap to 4.25 that you would expect to be well maintained and have good rents. Unfortunately, I've been used to those cap rates in shitty markets. Like in Santa Cruz, you couldn't find an apartment complex that was above a 3.5.
And they'd be crappy places.
Crappy. A really dialed in property, like new construction, like 6 unit, would be like a 2.95 cap.
Oh, that's better though.
It is.
It is, because there's no maintenance to be done. There's no upkeep. I mean, you got maybe 10 years before you have to do something, besides, clean a drain or something.
but yielding 3% is just hard. That's what I've noticed is this, there's like a Y in the road. As an investor gets wealthier and acquires a bunch of assets, and their whole journey like is filled full of all of these like success stories of all these like reposition or value add or syndication projects they did. They made a bunch of money, right? But as the market gets more expensive and times change, they get more less risk averse as they actually have way more money.
Right.
Because it wasn't like it used to be. And then you have these more risk tolerant, not as wealthy investors that'll come in and be like, I got this plan. I'll figure it out. New roof, remodel all the units, sit on it. I'm not in it to sell it or 1031 it. I'm going to cash out refi and I'm going to go find another one. So the difference is that what worked for the wealthy one that went on this Y of the split of the road is actually hurting them now in this different climate. And that's what I've really noticed about a lot of the investors that came from Texas. Like Texas is huge right now. Like all the investors, it's like buzz. This is where we're syndicating deals, Texas, Alabama, Atlanta, St. Louis, the whole South, the Bible Belt. But to be very honest, guys, like the investors that were there 10 years ago are not even there anymore. They've all sold those complexes to that new generation of people that have come in. And now they're investing in different places across the United States. But it's these investors that came to Texas that bought all the crap that are making the most money. Like that's the wealthiest single individual syndication guy I know. It probably has at this point like 5,600 doors under management. By like in the last 10 years, he's acquired that many properties. Bought garbage from wealthy investors that just didn't want to do the work. That's what's crazy. So, right?
Yeah.
What
It's really
leverage-
great if you got them owner financed.
Yep. Especially if you have access to CoStar.
What's CoStar?
That's what real estate commercial brokers use. That has like it's like the MLS on crack.
Oh,
Steroids. You can kind of look up every commercial property. You can look up every single property that's ever been owner financed.
really?
And at the end of the day, what you realize really quickly is there's a lot of people selling things on notes.
Yep, of course they are.
And that's the education we do a lot to help us in converting those deals. You may not want to do this because you don't know what you want to do with this money in 20 years. But John up the street, who owns half the block, does. So the acquiring and the selling of notes is, I have a rental property right now that's on a note, and the guy called me and said he wants to buy another property and he's going to sell the note, but we have the first right of refusal in the contract.
Nice.
So he called us and he was like, so you guys want to buy it? And I was like, go get a couple quotes from note buyers, bring them back to me, and then I'll talk to you about it. So could be a 70, 80 cents on the dollar type of cash out. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Every investor is different. Create your hot list, build a marketing plan that actually supports that hot list, and be patient.
And follow up.
Yeah. And on a side note, completely off the subject, does anybody know what happened to the house in Marcola? It was active and then was canceled. Cave's old place.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was active. It was on the market. He had it at 415 and then it went to 385 or 395. I could be wrong, but then I think it leveled out because I sent it to Mike at 375 or 380.
375.
375. And then Brad emailed me about a week later and said it's withdrawn or canceled. He said, I think it's canceled. He may have relisted it with another agent. I haven't looked, but
Dude, this doesn't, I just put in the address 92228 Queen Street and that doesn't even look like it. It said for sale by owner. Nah,
9228 Queen Street, right?
Yeah, the picture
Yeah.
comes up on Zillow as the one on the other corner. It's just, it's a bad picture.
yeah. So that's not it. And so let me go to RMLS.
Oh, he has it on. He has the wrong picture. He just didn't update it at 409. But he had it FSBO the whole time, but he had it on a,
Oh,
but he had paid a flat free broker to list it.
he is a broker himself. Or is,
It-
so. Agent Roger Lowe. With the Idaho phone number. It just, alright, so,
I have property or 541-780-5339. With the FSBO that comes up on Zillow.
oh, I went to RMLS. And it's canceled, like you said, it was listed at 409 on August 2nd. Got lowered to 397 on August 8th, 375 on August 24th, and then canceled on 9/14. Huh.
It doesn't make sense. I just found he has a carrot site.
Pictures are terrible on the website. I mean, on RMLS, it's just absolutely terrible.
It doesn't do it justice.
Oh, the side view is completely different. The side of the house that had the sewer, the septic,
Yeah.
it looks completely different. I'm gonna show it to you guys.
Yeah, sure it was.
He painted it white. All right, you want to see it?
Yeah.
Large photos. All right, share screen. I got lots of things open. Let's see. All right, you guys seeing it, right?
Nope.
You're not? Oh, I got it. It's been so long. I forgot to hit share.
There,
There we go.
I've seen that picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any of this. Like, seriously? Maybe they're gonna actually put up a good listing.
I think it's still in the market right now.
Well, the history says canceled, status canceled.
Why would he cancel it? That doesn't.
Because he needs some better pictures. All right, that's there. Look at this picture.
Whoa.
That looks so completely different.
Yeah, that's weird. Guess he didn't- If he is a broker, he didn't go to the class that said don't
Yeah,
take pictures of.
I think he was brand new, so yeah.
Well, it looks nice. I will give it to him. It looks nice.
Yeah. Yeah. He's come a long way, that's for sure.
Yep. Well, maybe it was a blessing that cave got out.
It was a blessing.
Yeah, and got out and didn't have to.
I haven't heard from him. Has anybody heard from him?
Nothing.
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 Yeah. I've reached out to him, it's been a while, but nothing back.
Yeah. Well.
Interesting. Thanks a lot, Dan. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Like
it's always good-
always.
always
Thank you.
Good to see you guys, and we got a monthly meeting coming up here soon, don't we?
No, I actually canceled it. It was last week. It should have been.
Um,
because I was in Italy and I didn't have anywhere to hold it.
I was just in Italy. It's okay.
Did you get to see the Pope?
No, I didn't get to see the Pope, nor did I go to Rome. I tried to stay away from the bigger cities a bit. But yeah, I had a great time. It was awesome. That's what my real estate money went towards. Super.
Good.
Super,
Well,
super. Yeah,
anybody- go ahead.
I was saying, thanks a lot for this CoStar information. Do you have to be an agent to get a subscription to that?
I don't think you do, but it's so ridiculously expensive that we realized it wasn't worth it.
It's not, because, yeah. What's the other one that everybody uses? I forget what the name of it is.
Our mortgage broker, a friend, was like, yeah, like we can all split it. And then we realized it's like a single IP address. Like, so if you log in from like 3 different places, they block you.
Oh, they got that down.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the RMLS. If you have like somebody like log in from a different spot that's not your phone or your IP address. So yeah. But
Yeah.
I just had a buddy in the East Coast who has it. He just was like, what lists do you want? And he just
Okay.
download them and send them to me.
It's
So,
international, it looks like somewhat. Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Hey,
None,
kids.
always inspirational, Dan.
thanks,
Thanks.
guys. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
Okay, bye.
Have a good evening.